Now, it's my absolute pleasure to be joined by Rikki Simons. Probably, do we say most recognisably, the voice of Gurr on Invader Zim? Would that be a fair call?
Vocally, yes.
Yes.
But then no one really ever sees my face unless they, are my mom or something. Yeah.
I guess that's the beauty of voice work, is you can walk through the airport and not be mobbed by people who unless you speak, and then you might be in a bit of trouble.
Well, it was weird when I landed here. There was a group of 6 kids waiting for me. One, I don't know how they knew when I was landing, and they wanted photos, so I took pictures with them. But they were very nice. But it was weird. They knew what I looked like, and they knew that when I was landing. It's maybe they were for the airport or something. I don't know.
The airport children, they just trot them out for.
They were security people.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Zim very quickly. Not only did you do the voice of Gurr, you also did some of the background art, some of the background colouring and art as well. I mean, that's an interesting step for somebody who's there as a voice artist to say, hey, you know what, I've got this other set of skills as well.
Yeah, my first set of skills when I was brought into the show was to apply myself to the color. I had been doing background acting in movies in the 90s, but I'm sort of like a TV, comics, movie writing gnome. You just sort of plug me into an area and I hammer away and get it done. So originally I had been hired on to Zim to color it, along with 4 or 5 other colorists. I was at the time I was also working on Jonan's book I Feel Sick, so I was living with him, and that was horrible. He was having trouble finding someone to do the voice of Gurr. He was coming home every day really grumpy. I was like, "Oh, what's the matter, Jonah?" And he's like, "Brr." So I said, "Well, could I give it a shot?" He said, "I guess you couldn't screw it up any more than anyone else." So he gave me an audition, and then I got the part. So it was very strange. Yeah.
So there you go. It pays to know. So is it one of those things that you enjoy? Is there something you enjoy more than? Because like you say, you've worked in so many different kind of aspects and fields. Yeah. Do you prefer a bit of the? Is it just whatever takes you at that particular point in time, or is it just where you are, where the money's coming from?
I'm very flexible as to where you plug me into. I'm like multi-purpose Lego. I enjoy it. I enjoy it's like I'll enjoy coloring something or painting something until I get full up on it. It's like I have a progress bar, and then I'm like, oh, I now hate this thing that I started to love, and then I want to go do something else for a while. So the background acting is nice like that too, because you're only there for 3 or 4 days. I was in, and I got to be in Argo. I was a chancellor staff in that. I got beaten up by 100 revolutionaries in 14 takes, and I got to see how tall Ben Affleck was, so it was nice. So I end up in weird places, so it's like, I don't know. I just sort of flow in and out of strange areas, so it's nice. I'm like a Higgs boson that doesn't know where it's going.
Well, there you go. That's that can be the tagline to your biography, a Higgs boson. So I guess the other side of that as well is you've also done some voice work for video games. Was that a different experience from doing stuff for television, or was it a very similar kind of process?
It's different. Well, at least when I did those, I hear that now, 'cause I haven't done one in a while. I hear now that people get to actually work with each other more, or at least they get to hear the voices.
They normally, as opposed to previously where it was recorded in isolation.
Yeah. With Zim, I got to work with Richard Horvitz, who was Zim, and Andy Berman, and who was Dib, and everyone else in one big booth. And then we would, if they wanted to separate out the voices, they would just stick one of us in an isolation booth inside the booth, and then they could separate them later. So it was really good. You got to see who you were with and interact. But with video games, you're just sort of you go into a lonely, tiny, little sweaty booth, and somebody just says, "Here's your lines," and you don't even see the action. It's just scream, gurgle, blah blah blah, and you do all those things, and then they'll tell you, "Okay, this one you're being mauled by puppets," and then and you do all the mauled puppet sounds that are according to the script, but you don't get to see what the other actors are doing with, even if you have lines, but.
Well, there you go. That's speaking of different kind of working experiences, you work a fair bit with your wife. You've worked with her on books. You do the webcomic as well. I mean, is that that's got to be an interesting experience sometimes. With collaboration is hard at the best of times.
Yeah, I met Tavisha in 1990, and we've been working on books and projects since then. And it's. You just sort of have to make sure you don't go to bed angry. That's the rule. and we never had children, so that helps. So we could just focus on our comics and our books and that sort of thing. But yeah, I do most of the projects I was doing before I did Zim were with Tavisha, and most of the ones I do now are still with Tavisha. We had a book series in the 90s called Super Information Hijinks Reality Check about a cat that gets online, thinks she's on a virtual internet system and thinks she's human, and disturbs her owner. And that was set in the far future of 2012.
Oh,
I know. And then we did a series with Tokyo Pop called Shutterbox. And then, we still do. Actually, right now we're working on a series together, but we're putting it online first to I just want to like get it out there and have people enjoy it first before I pursue it with a publisher. But it's called The Sad Circus by the Sea, and it's about these little sort of like pale Monchichi creatures that.
Monchichi, there's a reference.
Yeah, no, it was funny. they're tiny little people, but it's very like existential dread plays. It's like take Smurfs and give them existential dread. No, not Smurfs. Not Smurfs.
It's not a great life being a Smurf.
Like Moomin Troll. More like Moomin Troll with even more existential dread, and a little bit of Horton Hears a Who, and yeah. Nothing like tiny little creatures worrying about being thrown into abyss and dying. But it's got a lot of I think it's very colorful. It's very fun. If you go to our website at tavicat.com, which is TAV as in Victor, ICAT.com, you can see, I think we've got 46 pages up so far. But when we get to 120, that'll be the end of that one, and we'll find a publisher for it.
Oh, fair enough. Well, Rikki, thank you very much for your time, and hope you enjoy Australia.
Thank you.